It is this Shabbat that we introduced to the personality called Korach. Korach conducts a rebellion against Moses, against Aaron, and he speaks to the needs of the masses, and he says, Madua titnasu al kahal Hashem. Why do you and Aaron and Moses consider yourself more important than every other single Jew? Kol ha'am kolam kadoshim. The entire people are holy before God. So why do you have positions of importance and prominence as Moses and as Aaron? And his message seems to resonate with the community and with the congregation, the people of Israel. Because he speaks about egalitarian causes, and he speaks about social justice, and he speaks about having a mission to uplift the average and simple person, that we all stand as important. Don't all our lives matter? And yet we introduced the Korach with a verb, vayikach Korach, and Korach took. And the commentaries actually say that there is insight into the man Korach just by that first word, vayikach, and he took. Could have said he gathered the 250 men together and the people of rabble-rousers against Moses. Why does it say vayikach and he took? Because this world is made up of takers and of givers. And there are individuals in this world who are constantly thinking about really giving. And how do you uplift others and work out a way of ensuring that their needs are met? And then there are people that might have causes that they speak about. Their words seem to address the needs of everybody else. But they are egocentric individuals that are only there by Yikach Korach to take. They are takers, not givers. And in a world where there are takers that are considering only their own needs before anybody else's, we should be careful not to get caught up in what seems to be a mission and a march and a protest that relates to the needs of others, when in actual fact, there are clear motives and motivations that have nothing to do with uplifting the others. Korach was thinking about himself. He really wasn't considering the needs of everybody else. He wanted to have the position of importance and prominence. And that's why in Ethics of Our Fathers, when it speaks about debates or arguments that are l'shem shamayim, that are for the sake of heaven and that have some kind of legacy and legitimacy that is valuable for eternity, we speak about the argument between Hillel and Shammai, protagonists in the Talmud, who argue and have very different opinions, and yet they cared for one another, loved one another, they respected each other's opinions, and both of their opinions are included in the Talmud. So that's why it tells us in Ethics of Our Fathers, look at the difference between an argument that is l'shem shamayim, the argument between Hillel and Shammai. And it speaks about the two sides of the argument. They are both preserved because they both were stated with a sense of dignity and recognition of the importance of the other. When it contrasts it with an argument that is not for the sake of heaven, it says the other side is, look at the argument of Korach and his men, his henchmen. It doesn't say Korach and Moses. It doesn't speak about the two sides. It speaks about Korach and his people. Because when there are takers in this world, when the real essence of one's mission is to derive for one's own benefit, then not only is one arguing against Moses, one's arguing and standing apart from one's own people. Because even the 250 people gathered with him, and the thousands beyond that, although Korach looked as though he was on their side, he wasn't on their side either. There was dissension in the ranks even between his own people. Because when it comes to ego, when it comes to self-serving purposes, then even the parent friends and liaisons and joinings together of people are actually only mutual expressions of what is going to self-serve and what's going to be for my benefit. And as soon as it's not to my benefit, then I discard you too. The argument of Korach was not only an argument against Moses, it was an act of dissension in the midst of our people as a whole. He did not even stand for the people whom he so supposedly represented. And that's what we have to be careful about in a world in which we pursue goals of caring for the individual, caring for every single life and how everybody is important. But sometimes we rally and we riot and we march because there's been loss of life. And the march itself becomes a cause of loss of life. Sometimes we talk about principles that are so important, and yet amidst all of our principles, ooze out elements of anti-Semitism and hatred against Israel, so that we're not actually as liberal and as caring as we present ourselves to be. Vayikach Korach means that he took. He was a taker. And our response to the takers of the world is to be givers. And by contrast, I mentioned the Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose yahrzeit it was yesterday, who would stand for hours and hours, handing out dollar bills to individuals whom came from all over the world, and saying to them, take this dollar bill and give it to tzedakah. He taught us that you can spend hours and hours giving, and by his giving, he taught us how to give. May we always be in the camp of those who want to not be the takers, the vayikach, but the people who are giving and sharing. Because if we give and share with a genuine desire to affect the next person's life positively and prominently, then please God, we create a world which is uplifted, which cares, which ensures that the rights and the needs of every single person are secure. May we rise to the occasion. Have a beautiful Shabbos.